In this shot in Finding Nemo, when Nemo is first dropped into the fish tank at the dentist's office, he's panicked, he's looking around at his surroundings, and we see in the waiting room is this toy chest. And lying in front of that toy chest, you'll notice, is a Buzz Lightyear action figure from Toy Story. This is an Easter egg. Pixar is very proud of these. They sneak them into all their movies and they brag about it on social media and in behind the scenes featurettes. So whenever you watch a Pixar movie, you are assured to see characters or props or anything that's included to be referential to other movies. Sometimes new assets or designs are created to be referential. They have a lot of Easter egg traditions. So Buzz Lightyear in Finding Nemo is an Easter egg. But what about these other toys? For example, did you know that this sailboat is from Monsters, Inc.? It appears in the Scare Simulator room from the film's intro. So does this horse, although it's been recolored here and duplicated. So does this train. So does this plane, which itself I think is just modified from Toy Story. Same with this top. This wagon with blocks is also from the simulator room. The top 4 blocks are even in the same order. The famous Luxo ball from Luxo Jr. is hidden deep inside, and a purple recolor of the balls in front you can see. All of these are from old movie shorts and projects at the studio, but they're not Easter eggs. These are reuse. So what's the difference? Well, Easter eggs are deliberate. They're done to be cute. You were supposed to notice Buzz Lightyear on the floor there. And if you didn't, it doesn't change anything about the movie experience. It's just a little cute nod. But this horse, this plane, and top, and blocks, you aren't supposed to notice those. They're innocuous. It's not like, oh, that's the iconic Monsters, Inc. train that you can get on a t-shirt. No. When Boo brings Sully into her bedroom and she's showing him all her stuff, she hands him a Nemo toy and a Jessie toy. Those are Easter eggs. To the point of distraction. It kind of, when we're watching the scene, it's like, oh wait, whoa, those are from other movies. But that mobile that she has with fish on it is reused in Finding Nemo. That is reuse. It's not like you recognize that from Monsters, Inc. It's not an Easter egg, it's just clever filmmaker economy. The older I get, and maybe it's just a production coordinator in me, I prefer spotting reuse and looking for reuse in these movies over Easter eggs. I don't know, I feel like enough people now are in on the joke and are actively looking for things in the movies while at the theater. But I know the deep cuts.
Most of this silverware and place settings we stole from Ratatouille. I think what Muntz and Carl are having, it's a seared scallop that was served in Ratatouille somewhere. There's actually a skull on the wall in the back behind Muntz, and I think it's duplicated again later in the fight. It's actually Gazer Beam's skull from The Incredibles.
When I was with Disney, I worked as a production assistant on a series of shorts called Cheeky Tiny Tales. I actually cameo in one of them. That's right, some fella in South Korea got to animate me blink. Shout out wherever you are. And I later became a production coordinator on the series Chibi-verse. I'm going to talk about Excel spreadsheets. This all factors into my fun, exciting, funny video, so just stay with me. Production coordinator from a design standpoint is responsible for asset breakdown, design, supervision, and art delivery all throughout an episode's production. I would receive a completed animatic from our editors, and then I would sift through that animatic. I'd go frame by frame, and I would create 3 separate Excel spreadsheets. One of those spreadsheets has all of the characters, one of them has all of the backgrounds that are featured, and one of them has all of the props and effects. Okay, using my short film, The Italian Guy Who Took Over Town, as an example, I'm going to do a sample prop breakdown list.
To me in real life where...
Alright, so Zach is holding a controller here, so I'm going to write gaming controller. And from a head-on view, so in the notes I'm going to say F3Q and head-on view. Here we are in Wexford. These would all be background elements. And then if you look closely, there's smoke coming out of the cigarette across the scene. So I will do a listing for cigarette smoke. But you get the idea. Everything has to be designed, everything has to be broken down. This is like, we're barely even a minute into the short. These lists, once refined, are what I hand off to the designers to then go and design for the episode. And it's important from a production standpoint to keep these lists as concise and economical as possible so as not to go over budget or overwork our artists. We have a schedule to keep, we have an air date, and a big part of keeping that list so concise is sifting through our archives to find reuse. The appeal of working on a series like Chibiverse was that we could pull from our long history of Chibi Tiny Tale shorts for reuse. For example, if there's like an innocuous prop like a pencil or something, I would go through the archives and look up pencil, and instead of going through the trouble of designing a new pencil, color cards, which are these like colored expressive backgrounds, were very common and were good candidates for reuse. Chibi also had a lot of like angry vein marks or exclamation marks appearing over characters' heads. That was reuse. Every show does this, and every movie does this. And so having worked so long as a production coordinator in animation, it's hard for me to watch animated shows and movies in the same way. I'm very prop conscious, and I can't ever escape that or shake that. I've never worked for Pixar, though. I've only worked for Disney television animation, so all of my observations from Pixar's films are as a fan, are things I've noticed and theories that I have. So in Inside Out, when Colette from Ratatouille very briefly appears on the cover of a cooking magazine, this is an Easter egg. But when they're touring the San Francisco apartment and they see a dead rat on the floor, and I'm almost certain that that dead rat is either Remy or is just one of the many other rat extras built for the film, that's reuse. In fact, this particular frame, I think people have caught on to that as being reuse. It's going around on Twitter right now. Let's see, what else? In a movie like WALL-E, you gotta populate an entire world with just junk. And when you have all these files of past movies that you've worked on, you just have to put a rusty or junky texture on it and you're set. So Mike Wazowski appears as an antenna ball. That's an Easter egg. These crushed cars, which I'm 99% sure are the background cars from The Incredibles, that's reuse.
That's, of course, the trailer from A Bug's Life with the Pizza Planet truck parked outside.
And inside are two versions of the Sim Kid, the simulated kid at the beginning of the show. You know, you can see their shadows. I think we put an extra sphere in the back of one to make it look like Mom.
Like a bun.
Yeah.
People have actually caught on to the Chinese takeout box, and that's kind of turned into an Easter egg. It started off as reuse, but now it's put into movies deliberately. These construction vehicles from Up also make regular appearances in new Pixar projects. The world of Up is chunky and far more stylized than other Pixar movies. All the characters are 3 heads tall compared to, say, The Incredibles being 5 heads tall. So all the vehicles in Up are styled different. They're cutesier, they're rounder, and the greenhouse, that's what this part of a vehicle is called, is much taller. So what happens then when a crane from Up is reused in Incredibles 2, and only I notice and think it looks out of place?
Well, we always had this idea that there would be the digital backlot. You'd build something once, and it would be good anytime you wanted. You could just grab it. Of course, the reality is all this stuff, even though it was used before, we had to import it and reshade it and relight it because we're constantly redoing the system, the rendering and lighting and things. So.
And also sometimes those things don't match the caricature and the style.
Yeah.
This piece of concept art says we're reusing Ratatouille's Notre Dame, or just modifying it. In the movie Soul, in The Great Before, there's the Hall of Everything. So you have this plane from Cars 2, you have the cable car from Inside Out, you have this pagoda from Cars 2, which is funny because it has like car parts in the design of it. You have Toy Story's Pizza Planet truck, you have Up's stylized Pizza Planet truck, you have Toy Story 3's garbage truck, you have another one of those Up construction vehicles, you have a Mexican pyramid from Coco, you have Ratatouille's Eiffel Tower, this humpback whales from Finding Dory, Luxo Jr. herself, themselves appear. I think this castle is from Inside Out. The Spirit of Adventures in the far background, that one might be an Easter egg. You might be supposed to notice that. It's hard to tell. The line's blurry, you know? For example, I'm a big car guy. I start every morning reading Car and Driver and Motor Trend. When I'm watching an animated movie, I get a sense of the cars that they pick. Pixar has this roster of cars that they've been using on all their movies that require modern cars for the last almost 15 years or so. This microcar has gone through various changes and remodels and retextures and reshapes since it first appeared in Ratatouille. This sedan is from Cars. This 80s sedan is from Cars. This 70s sedan is from Cars. Cars has been great in the long run for Pixar because they provided them with just these very high quality vehicle models. Inside Out has this lovely 90s wagon that's made a few appearances since. Luca, with its mid-century Italian setting, modifies Luigi from Cars to be a background vehicle, as well as the Biagio Ape as seen in Cars 2. The submerged VW Beetle in Finding Dory is just this Cars character model that's been stripped of life and drowned. Jesus. Sometimes reuse is not only economical, but it also just makes sense for the story. For example, in Toy Story 2, Buzz is rushing down to the yard sale to rescue Woody from being toy-napped, and all of the furniture that you see at the yard sale is furniture that Andy's mom had in their living room in the first Toy Story, which makes sense that they would want to get rid of old furniture. In this shot in Cars before the final race, it shows that the city of Emeryville has closed for the race. First of all, I love this set because it's just a sign and a road and the entire San Francisco skyline, but I just know that if you move the camera slightly to the left, the whole illusion falls apart. But if you look closely at the Emeryville sign, you'll see all these municipal welcome to the city signs, and if you look closely, they all have RS on them. The RS, Radiator Springs, these signs are just reused from earlier in the film, but you're not supposed to notice this stuff. Reuse is especially prevalent in Pixar short films because those always have a tight budget and quick turnaround. And so they always pull generally from movies that are in production at the time. So like time and money will get put into like hero characters and sets, like main characters for the shorts, but everything else kind of tends to be stuff they have around in their files from the great warehouse of props, so-called. In Bounden, these fish are borrowed from Finding Nemo. They're a recolor of the character Gurgle. This car is borrowed from Cars. Everyone online says it's Stanley, but what I think it's an early Lizzie that has Stanley's rear end, because the front end is Model T. It's not a Stanley steamer. In Lifted, the human that the characters are abducting is a very early character model of Linguini. In Presto, all of the people that are in the audience are borrowed from Ratatouille. Well, not all of the people. To the point that the men in the band are the waiters from Ratatouille. In fact, the main theater itself is used the following year in Up. In Partly Cloudy, I'm pretty sure these homes are just from Up, and I think this mother is either a direct reuse or a modified reuse of Ellie. Oh, she got her kid. Teddy Newton's Day and Night is just a tour de force of reuse. You got everything from all these past films, because they go from like set to set to set. It's like breakneck. Every single human extra that you see is from Up. Like this foreman is a lumberjack. You see a wilderness explorer here. I'm pretty sure all these bikini babes are just Ellie again. This is getting weird. This boat is from Finding Nemo. All of these cars are from Cars' Our Town flashback. This is a practice that Pixar has been doing since their very early days. Of course, computer-generated animation is very difficult to do. You gotta model everything and build everything. So why wouldn't you reuse stuff you have lying around? This Toys R Us commercial that they did in the early 90s is my favorite because everything is either reused from Tin Toy or Red's Dream or will go on to be seen in Toy Story as reuse. I love knowing that they just have Jeffrey the Giraffe somewhere in their files, and he looks like this. And it's not like this is exclusive to animation either. When I was reading up that this newspaper print apparently has been used in sitcoms and movies and films and shows for decades and decades. So I recommend you just go frame by frame through these movies and compare that to other movies. See what you can find, especially in the short films, because the shorts kind of tend to just have everything and anything. It's nice to see familiar old bases again, even if it's just a prop. I don't know, I like things being given a second chance, a second lease of life. It's like bringing Christmas decorations out of the attic that have been up there all year long, and it's like, oh, it's this, I remember this. Ben Mankiewicz always asks his guest the same question, which is...
Okay, so in this question, you're a thief. There's a vast warehouse where all the props from every movie ever made are stored, and you got time to steal one thing. What do you take?
This is the question that I find the toughest because I've been running through answers in my head. I'm like, anything from Lord of the Rings, you could take Gandalf's like pipe or staff or like the ring itself. Anything from Pulp Fiction.
By the way, this was the first indication that you're a dork. Just came out right there.
Oh, no, I'm a massive dork.
Yeah.
So I ask you, if you could go into Pixar's great warehouse of props, their archives, and pull out any prop from a past Pixar movie, which would you try to steal? Which would I try to steal? Syndrome's remote! No. You know what I'd steal? In Toy Story 2, when Ham is flicking through the channels, you see Pixar shorts and Pixar commercials, and one of those I've never been able to place. It's this 1969 Camaro parked in front of some municipal building. And I discovered recently it's from a Levi's ad that Pixar animated in 1996. It's this very detailed, well-made Camaro model with a retractable soft top. And the model was actually reused as a toy very briefly in Toy Story 2. And then never seen again. They just forgot they had it. I don't even care for the Camaro as a car, but I just want to pull that up and just look all around. I don't know. Comment down below what props you would steal, what you would find, and let me know just what reuse you discover yourself. As always, a huge shout out to my paying patron, Odd Dog Warrior. If you'd like to support me in the channel, feel free to support me on Patreon. You'll get a shout out and early access to videos.